Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. I am sitting here with my original Rider-Waite-Smith deck to do the educational video on tarot as promised. I'm going to go through all 78 cards, major and minor arcana. I'm going to talk about the astrology of the cards, the meanings of the cards, upright and reversed, kind of teaching you guys how to intuitively read as well. And it's good to get familiarized with the guidebook when you are especially new, like you've never used tarot before. But at the same time, it's really important to tune into your intuition, because tarot reading is not black and white. It is highly intuitive, and many readers do have, their spirit guides, their angels around them, and that's how they get the intuitive messages. These cards are not always meant to be taken literally, and intuition is just a really big part of it. So even if you're looking to just develop your intuition and strengthen it, tarot is a really good practice to get into for doing that. And you can start by doing readings for yourself, by doing readings for friends, family, loved ones, and just, kind of gauging your own intuition, your accuracy in interpreting the messages, and then you'll be well on your way. So a lot of people are also confused about what is the difference between tarot and oracle cards. Tarot is always a set of 78 cards with court cards, major arcana, minor arcana, and it is known as the Fool's Journey. So the Fool is this card here. It is one of my favorites, and it is basically this character's journey through life, growth, death, rebirth, regeneration, and pretty much starting out on this journey as an innocent character, naive, possibly not really knowing what to expect in the outside world, and then meeting with major and minor life experiences that kind of serve to fill up his little baggie right here. This little bag symbolizes the Fool's life experiences, and this is also astrologically associated with the planet Uranus. I'll put the card here so you guys can see. And even though this is the very first card of the major arcana, it is still numbered as 0. So basically, as I said, the Fool's planet is Uranus. It symbolizes independence and freedom. And when you receive this card upright, it typically indicates a fresh start. It's getting free from what was possibly constraining you in the past. It's releasing yourself from patterns of events and learning to take risks, but you have to be able to kind of enjoy that free fall, right? So a lot of people tend to be overthinkers. This Fool is definitely not an overthinker. He just this is my take a leap of faith card. So the Fool recognizes vital opportunities, but he doesn't always recognize the need for caution. So if you are doing a reading for somebody and you get this Fool card, you may want to tell them to temper their idealism and tune into practicality as well. And if this Fool comes out symbolizing a person, he can be somebody, or she can be somebody that has a beguiling character who brings innocence and fun to the table, right? Now, I'm also going to talk about reversed meanings. And this is important because not every reader reads reversals. Some readers read only upright. And it really depends on how your spirit guides read with you, how they guide your readings. because for some, their guides truly only guide them to read upright. And there is enough information in the tarot to kind of get when a card would have the opposite meaning and not have to see it in reverse. But for some, their intuition is fine-tuned in a way to pick up more on the energy if they actually do see the card in reverse. So really tune into your preferences when you start out on this journey. Try both ways and see how your inner compass guides you to read. Whenever a card is reversed, basically the meaning is the opposite. And the Fool card reversed symbolizes irresponsibility. So basically the negative traits of this character come to the forefront. Where in the upright position, the Fool was naive. Now in the reverse position, that turns to immaturity, irresponsibility. And it could also be a warning that, if you're about to make a spontaneous decision, then maybe you should rethink that, because whatever it is that you are trying to jump into may actually fall apart because you didn't think, you didn't have the foresight, you didn't look into the future far enough. So when this card comes out as an action card in the reverse position, you would definitely want to warn your client or whoever it is that you're reading for that decision or that leap, so to speak, just might turn their world upside down. So that is definitely something that you want to pay attention to. Now we have the second card, but it's actually numbered number 1, and this is the Magician card. Now in some older decks, the Magician was actually called the Magus. And there is a tarot deck. It's a really early tarot deck. As I said in one of my previous videos, the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck is definitely not the oldest. It's not the first. It's not the most vintage. There are decks that precede this, but these are just the most widely known, the most widely mass market available. And these images are now in the public domain. So a lot of creators, deck creators, are actually allowed to play around with these images, give them variations. And this is also a very beginner-friendly deck. Like most people that start out reading tarot in the modern day use the Rider-Waite-Smith. So that's why you see these images. But there is an older version called the Visconti Sforza, I believe, where they have more vintage and less of what today we would call traditional images on their cards. So the reason I decided to go with original Rider-Waite is exactly that. It is mass market produced. It's easily available. It's, you can pretty much find it anywhere. The cost is very reasonable. And the suits in themselves are a lot easier to read, I find, than some of the older decks for people who are starting out. So that's my opinion, but of course, look into what best serves your intuition. For me, this is what I started out with without knowing much about, the older styles in the past. That's something that I kind of learned along my journey, but I still really like these images because they're, for me, really easy to connect to. So the Magician is actually a card of action and communication. The ruling planet is Mercury, known for communication, right? So when you receive this card upright, it's basically that you have everything that you need within your access to manifest or create whatever it is that you desire. So it's basically like a call to action. Express yourself, express your desires to the universe and act on them. You have everything you need. If you notice, the magician in his hand is holding a wand. He's got the lemniscate above his head, the infinity symbol, but on the table he's got every other suit of the tarot, which symbolize the elements. You know, cups for water, wands for fire, earth for pentacles, and air for swords. So he's basically got every single suit in the tarot on his table. He has everything that he needs to make whatever he desires happen. So this is a very big card for your ability to manifest your desires and to act on your desires as well. If he comes out as a person, he's basically somebody who can be very charming, very influential. It's a very auspicious card, basically, especially for like if you're doing a career or business reading and this card comes out, that is a very positive indication. And basically, you just have to realize your resources. This card is kind of nudging you to see what you have access to because you already do. You possibly just could be overlooking it. Now, in the reverse position, this is a very, very bad card. It talks about basically cheating, wearing a mask, you know, like putting on a false face, so things may not be what they seem. And for some people, it could be like dreaming without a foundation, you know, like there's no way to bring that dream into reality because you might be deluding yourself of your ability at that current point to do that. So basically, this card doesn't mean, in the reverse position, it doesn't mean that it's impossible for you to manifest your desire. It's just saying that make sure your dreams have a practical plan. So that would be a really good note to add on to a reading if you happen to catch that energy come up for a client. Okay, so now we are going to move on to card number 2, even though it's the third card, which is the High Priestess. So in older decks, she is called the Papist, kind of like a female pope per se. But in most modern decks, it is the High Priestess. And her planet is the moon. So intuitively, you can probably already guess what this card stands for, right? It basically talks about the feminine nature, intuition, you know, a desire for learning and seeking out inspiration. The High Priestess basically tunes you back into your intuition and redirects you to higher thinking. Sometimes just because she is the number 2, and the numbers really do matter in tarot, you guys. I'll probably make another video talking about all the numbers, or I'll see if I can fit it in here towards the end. But really do pay attention to what numbers these cards are as they're coming out, because they really do mean things. The 2s in tarot often talk about having to make a choice, having to balance, you know, deciding between 2 courses of action, and also the importance of aligning before you make the decision. So taking time to think about things and maybe even getting advice and feedback from others, preferably people who have more experience in what you're dealing with, and you know, pretty much avoiding creating a dilemma for yourself by taking that step back and really thinking things through. Now, in the reverse position, this card does not necessarily have a negative meaning, but it depends on the context. This is basically secrets being revealed. So that could be, you know, if somebody, like say in a love reading, was hiding their emotions from the client, this in the reverse position shows that they're about to spill the beans, they're about to be exposed, their emotions are about to come to the surface. But in other cases, it could be that you misjudged a person and their true colors are about to be exposed to you. That's kind of more of a like a darker meaning to that, and that does happen often. But again, you have to read each card in conjunction with the surrounding cards that you pull, unless you're just doing a one card reading. So tarot is 110% energy based. So it depends on what question it is that you're asking also. That would also determine these meanings. And I will do another video where I just teach you how to intuitively read the cards rather than just, running through all the possible meanings. So anyhow, it is, this in the reverse position could also be like somebody that you trusted giving you the wrong information. In some cases, it's not as dire. It could be like a teacher who made a mistake and told you the wrong thing, or like an authority figure that you trusted failed you by giving you wrong information or a wrong impression. But also, if you are doing a reading for somebody, this could mean that the person, the querent, is feeling disconnected from their own intuition. So that is an important factor to keep in mind as well. So, and this is also why I say reading intuitively is so important, because there's no black and white meaning to the cards. The cards come with a certain set of meanings, and then you kind of have to intuitively read into the rest. Okay, so the number 3 card here, we have the Empress, and her planet is Venus. So the Empress is very much the divine feminine card. The Emperor and the Empress are like the divine masculine and divine feminine counterparts. But also this could represent a mother figure, an older female. This could represent pregnancy, abundance, fertility, giving and receiving love. And in the upright position means, it flows easily, it comes naturally. Material comforts are flowing easily. Those around you are, they support you, they cherish you. And also you are able to give those things to others unconditionally. This can also be a predictive card. It can predict a relationship coming in. It can predict a pregnancy. This is a very positive mother figure influence in your life. This is, fertility of ideas, not just a literal pregnancy. Her season is the spring. So, this is a great time to cultivate and nurture creative projects, creative ideas. If you receive this card in a reading in the upright position, that doesn't mean that you have to wait until the season, the spring, unless, of course, intuitively that's what you feel. But just the fact that her symbolism is the spring, and the springtime is for, birth and creation. That is what this card represents. So, but in the reverse position, the Empress becomes insecurity. She becomes somebody who's smothering you. The desire for domestic bliss that you possibly had could be turning to chaos. This could be, like an unhappy upbringing, an unhappy home, possibly even like scarcity, not having enough. Sometimes it could even be like an abusive mother or a bad mother, somebody who has no empathy for her children, who doesn't provide for the emotional or physical needs for her children. It all depends on the context of the reading, your intuition surrounding cards. But ultimately, this is one of the worst cards to get in the reverse position, especially for certain questions. Now, Her counterpart is the Emperor, and he is number 4. The Emperor's astrological sign is Aries, literally Aries the ram, and Aries is ruled by Mars. So this is a Mars card. Mars is a very, see, the Tower card is also ruled by Mars. So there could be, you know, like a lot of anger associated here, some control issues. The Emperor is also the divine masculine energy, who is a protector, a provider, a father figure, you know, paternal love giver. But the Emperor is not always a positive card either, right? So this could be in a love reading, this could be your counterpart, this could be your husband, or the querent's husband, I should say. This is a person who will act, who will take action. Aries is a fire sign, so very action oriented here. Somebody who's very protective, kind of like a guardian. The Emperor naturally makes rules, so this Emperor has great boundaries, he has firm boundaries, and he sets them well. And when he appears, it's like there's kind of this rigid energy that people kind of have to conform to this person. And sometimes the Emperor can also be like a return to order after a period of chaos, or after a period of not really being sure where things were going. The Emperor really makes sure that there's order returned to the scene. Now, in the reverse position, this is oppression, okay? He's somebody who is stubborn, who is more interested in controlling others than being supportive. Somebody who's very deliberating, loves convention, I guess you could say, right? Like, this as a person, or even this as an institution or a situation, could indicate that the querent's needs or ideas are overruled in that scenario. This could be, you know, like a father wound in the querent. It could be problems with a father figure. It could be problems with even authority figures. It's basically the opposite of the upright, right? So this is structure, this is chaos or disorder, and a need for structure, a need for organization. Now we come to the next card, which is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is basically like the Pope. You get a very holy energy from this card. And he is, this is a Taurus card. Literally the bull, the Taurus. And basically this is a very comforting figure. If this comes out to indicate a person, it's somebody who means business and isn't playing around. This could be a teacher, this could be a spiritual teacher. This could mean inspiration from the divine, like crown chakra activation. So, you know, so that you have access to what the divine is trying to give you. This card pretty much tells you, you know, whatever the community you're in is safe, but of course that depends on surrounding cards. Right now we're just talking about this card by itself. So if you were to do a 1-card reading and you pulled this 1 card, it's a pretty good indication that the people you're around are who you need to be around. And it's almost like a higher power watching over you from above in some instances. If you were to ask, you know, if you are protected, if you're being divinely guided, if you're on the right path. But because this card is also ruled by Taurus, Taurus is a very committed energy, which is why this card comes up when we're talking about partnerships, marriages, deeper levels of commitment, making a connection official, giving a relationship a status. This is the card that comes out. Now, in the reverse position, it's a very restrictive energy. This is somebody who's trying to strive for perfection and can't reach it because they are misinformed, because their expectations are unreasonable. They could be surrounded by people who are kind of bashing their ideas, or are telling them that whatever it is that they desire is not attainable. And somebody who's just kind of, like restricting the free flow of ideas and makes you doubt yourself. So it can, present like, especially for people who have a creative occupation, like a work crisis. It could be, blocks for projects that they need to tune into their creativity for, but because they keep getting shot down. So it's that kind of energy. But of course, it depends on the question and what other cards are surrounding it. So next we have the Lovers, and the Lovers is the Gemini twins. And this card has so many meanings. This is my ultimate twin flame card in a tarot deck. So when I'm doing twin flame readings and this card comes out, this is definitely my confirmation for a divinely guided and protected connection. People who are being brought together into union. For general readings, this is a card of decision. This is an opportunity or a pathway that presents itself that the querent has to make a choice about. Even in the Fool's journey, which is what the tarot deck represents here, this is the Fool having to decide between his family of origin and a romantic partner. So, this decision, when it comes out relevant to this card, often concerns the past, the present, and the future. It has to do with letting go of one phase of life to welcome in another. This may also have to do with your duties towards your relatives, towards, supporting other people who may be relying on you either for an instant or for a lifetime. So it really depends. These typically can represent really big decisions. Now, when the Lovers comes out in the reverse position, this talks about what are you avoiding? It's bringing to light that something is either being avoided or the querent is taking the easy way out, the path of least resistance. So, especially when the question has to do with a troublesome situation, this decision that they're making out of avoidance is really not going to take them anywhere. So that is really important to point out, that they think they're taking the easy way out, but actually they're just creating roadblocks for themselves. And they need to think about that before they act on whatever decision it is that they're thinking about. Let me get a sip of tea really quick. So the next card is the Chariot. And this is the Cancer card. Now, the real Cancer is ruled by the moon. And this is also a card that includes the moon. If you look at the shoulder crests of the charioteer, which this is the Emperor, by the way, he looks like a completely different person on this card, but this is him nonetheless. You can see his palace here in the background, And it makes sense because this is the road leading out into the city, the town, wherever, and he's on his chariot. So getting this card in the upright position indicates that you are making progress. Action is basically the key word here when you receive this card in a reading, especially for like a general reading. But if you get this card in a love reading, for me personally, intuitively, it suggests that there might be some unfinished business between the counterparts that I'm reading for. This could also indicate suddenness, like action could be made literally at any moment and you probably won't be able to see it coming, like you can't predict it. But other, I want to say like dictionary meanings is kind of like it indicates a journey. It indicates like departure from something that was familiar and now you're entering unknown territory. You could be moving from one location to another, but this could also indicate that you are moving closer to your partner if you're talking about a long-term relationship. And this also highlights the need to stay true to your path, to not deviate off of your path, to, take control, break down your barriers, create your success, and appreciate the gifts that the universe, that the higher powers have bestowed on you, especially after you reach your destination. But most of all, this is about enjoying the journey. And sometimes, even in the literal sense, you guys, this card in the upright position talks about the purchase of a new car. And sometimes in the reverse position, it could indicate a car breaking down on the road or getting a flat tire or something like that. But you would, of course, have to intuitively pick up on those messages. The typical reversed meaning for this is frustration, basically. So this is basically the Emperor's downside when you get this card in reverse. Somebody who is, I would say, very arrogant, probably doesn't think that the people around him are qualified enough to give him the support that he needs. The ego is way too big here. Egomania for some reason keeps popping in my head. So yeah, maybe that's the way to think about it. And then on a more literal level, it could be like delays in travel, unexpected obstacles that are kind of blocking your path from getting wherever it is that you want to be or need to be. Even though your plans maybe have good intentions, maybe you just encounter obstacles, and it could lead you to believe that you've made a mistake just because of how opposite things go, or how difficult of a time that you have to make this journey. But basically, when you get this card in the reverse position and that is the case, then the best advice to give your querent would be to take a step back, reassess, refocus themselves, and sometimes if they need to, just start again. Just start again, because sometimes that's the best way to overcome that obstacle. Now, the next card is the Strength card, but I am going to show you the Justice card as well, because in some decks, Justice is the 8th card, believe it or not. So, especially in some older decks, this used to be number 8. Now, Strength is literally the number 8 card in the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, but I'm taking into account that maybe not everybody watching is using Rider-Waite. So I will talk about this Justice card that is number 8 in older, more quote-unquote traditional, older traditional tarot decks. So the sign associated with Justice is Libra, and the scales in the image kind of give it away. You know, this talks about fairness. It talks about balance. This is a karma card. This lets you know that justice will be served. This lets you know that you will get, you know, a resolution to whatever it is that you are asking about, that this issue is going to be resolved. This also indicates soul contracts. So people who were destined to meet each other and enter into some kind of a connection, doesn't have to be romantic, but it could also be, you know, a card of like marriage, divorce, things like that. It depends on the context. It could very literally mean legal matters. So this is really justice in its truest sense. Because it doesn't really take heed of what type of reading. It's just something that is ordained, that is going to happen. So it could be a card of satisfaction, it could be a card of discomfort. It just depends on your circumstances, and whatever the final decision is, it's just energetically kind of saying it has to be accepted, because you know, it in the upright position basically legitimizes the endeavor and predicts success in business and legal dealings. And divine law also comes into play with this card. It's about guidance, direction from a spiritual source. So whatever the direction is what the direction is. Now, in the reverse meaning, as always, it is opposite, right? So this could be a card of injustice when it is in the reverse position. So it could be, intuitively, I could also read it as, you know, a card that indicates a possible divorce, an ending of a soul contract. It could be just pretty much things that you hope wouldn't happen, that energetically is showing you that they would. So you really don't want to get this card in the reverse position, because this is like, you know, karmic retribution being delayed, or being like deviated off the path of the person who needed to get it from getting it. It's just, I hate getting this card in the reverse position for any client. So I think you guys have a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about. So now I'm going to talk to you about the real number 8 card, which is Strength. And this is associated with Leo. Of course, the lion here is a big giveaway. And it's basically, it's a metaphoric symbol for an enlightened state of mind, because do you see how this woman is literally like putting her hands in the mouth of a lion? She's somebody who's very virtuous, that can subdue this type of primal nature. It can also signify like a big ego. This Strength card can be a card of ego, but it could also indicate having a really strong bond with somebody. It could indicate, you know, having like a soulmate type relationship with somebody, not necessarily romantic. This is more of a platonic energy for me, but it could be, you know, like if the Two of Cups comes out, for example, if I'm doing a love reading for somebody and the Two of Cups comes out, and then the Strength card follows it, it's like, yes, you're going to get into a relationship with this person and you're going to have a very strong bond. Like, that's how I would read it in association with the other cards. But just upright on its own, it's like, basically you kind of need to have patience, because the forces around you may be a little too overwhelming right now. They may be a little bit too quote unquote passionate, and you need to balance that out with your own patience. This is a card of self-control and courage, because I mean, just look at her, right? Like, she's opening and shutting the mouth of a lion with her bare hands. That's courage if I've ever seen it. So, you know, it's dealing with courage, when it comes to challenging situations or fierce impulses. And this can also, if it represents a person, it can be somebody whose outlook is very, very different from your own. So the solution is basically to tune into your virtues rather than utilizing force. Okay, and in the reversed meaning, it's danger that you can avoid. There was something that I read a while back that I'm trying to remember. It was a really helpful way to help me, that helped me remember what this card is all about. And it said something like, the negative in this card is not the lion itself, but if you fear the lion, then that is the negative thing. So basically, like, strength reverse is a weakness, right? Just like I said, the cards in the reverse position are opposite. And it is an inability to be willing enough to take a genuine risk. So if you're trying to resolve a conflict with somebody and you try to deny your opponent altogether, it's just you become your own enemy, right? So this speaks to kind of like becoming your own enemy and not listening to your gut instincts because of fear, not taking action because of fear. So basically, the advice with this card is don't panic, don't run away, deal with everything with courage and patience. Whew, that was a mouthful, you guys. So now we have the number 9 card, the Hermit. And the Hermit is Virgo. So in a way, the Hermit and the High Priestess are linked, because Virgo is the sign of the Virgin and the High Priestess is known to be Virgin. And both are seekers of higher knowledge. They both hold knowledge that is hidden. So the link between the Hermit and the High Priestess is kind of like the Emperor and the Empress link. So in the upright meaning, it's the journey, and for me, typically, it's the journey within. So basically, if you get this card, you're either in a mode of self-reflection or you need to be in a mode of self-reflection. And that is for the purposes of healing and discovery, self-discovery. So the Hermit is alone out here in the middle of nowhere. Basically, like, I don't see any people or structures or buildings or anything around him anywhere. So he's by himself on these snowy mountains with nothing but his lantern, and he needs to rely upon himself. So the Hermit symbolizes resourcefulness and also integrity, as his little lamp here shows, and is basically an important card for self-knowledge and inner strength as well. So, no surprise that it follows the Strength card. And basically, whatever spiritual learning you undergo when you get this card is going to bring you a pretty good reward, and it's probably going to be an emotional reward. So this card sometimes could also point to like needing more time with something, or to going at a pace that's comfortable for you rather than trying to rush through things. Now, in the reverse position, it could indicate that somebody has been isolating themselves. Funny, right? Because the Hermit is isolated even in the upright position, but oddly enough, it doesn't mean that in the upright position. It's more of a journey, but in the reverse position, it's more about isolation. But this is not isolation by choice. It's kind of like an imposed isolation. So if somebody is having trouble getting accepted into their social circle, if the school they go to and whatnot is really difficult for them to make friends, for them to find other people who they can relate to and really just connect with and spend time with, that would be an indication of this card in the reverse position. So outcast maybe would be the word, right? Like if you feel cast out by your community. But one important thing to remind the querent when this card comes out like this is that this is circumstantial and the isolation is temporary. And sometimes you manifest that more so by your fears than by an actual dislike by people, right? So people may not dislike you as much as you fear that they would. So be sure that your fears are not the cause of your isolation. Now, of course, this is not always the case. Some people are genuinely outcasted, and it's very, very sad. And of course, you would intuitively know that, or the querent would tell you that, right, when you're doing their reading, if you're doing it face to face. But you have to look at the surrounding cards. You have to consider the circumstances that you're doing the reading for. But it's always important to give hope to whoever it is that you're reading for, you guys. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. So make sure, tell the querent to, you know, like, just check in with themselves, become aware of any stubbornness or rash reactions that they might be having. You know, is it thought or is it reality? You'll know based on the situation whether or not that question is appropriate, because for some people, sadly, it really is reality, and you want to always be sensitive to that. Don't assume things, and, you know, pay attention to surrounding cards as well if you don't already have that information. This is my favorite card, the Wheel of Fortune. There's so many hidden secrets in this too. See how this says tarot? See how this says rota? See how this says Torah? Like, there's so much hidden within here, especially in terms of symbolism, the sphinxes, the mythical creatures, where it is just randomly up in the sky, all the different symbols on here. But this is basically a card of fate, and it is typically, this card comes out when you're at the halfway point in a cycle. Even within the major arcana, this card is number 10. There are 21 cards in the major arcana, so this is the halfway point, or as close as to the halfway point as you can get, since there's 21 and not 20, right? This is the Jupiter card, and I love Jupiter because that planet is linked with luck, with abundance, with harmony, with healing, with fulfilling complete family life, with just abundance in general. And when this card turns out in the upright position, you can reassure your querent that the tables are turning for their benefit. Like, literally, things are getting better for them. Their circumstances are going to be improving. They should be open to change and any new knowledge that might come their way. Accept the gifts of the universe, accept the gifts of life, because good fortune is coming their way. And this is literally a time when anything could really be possible for them to manifest that they've been desiring. If you're doing more of a spiritual level reading for them, like, you know, like a guidance reading for spirituality, then you can let them know that maybe there is a whole other side to life that they haven't experienced yet. They might be called to tune into their spiritual or psychic gifts. You know, this is a major turning point, a major revelation for them, even on the spiritual level. Now, I love this card for a lot of reasons, but I especially love it because this actually does not have a bad meaning when it's reversed, mostly according to guidebooks. But in my personal experience, when this card comes out reversed, sometimes it could mean delays. Sometimes it could mean that, you know, a certain event is fated to happen, but because somebody might be avoiding taking certain actions or doing certain things, that the timelines could be could have been delayed for that, but that's really not as negative as some of the other cards, like say, you know, the Empress reversed or the Emperor reversed. Like those are terrible, right? This one is actually not so bad. This can also mean closure in the reverse position. So sometimes the workings of the higher powers are beyond our control, they're beyond our influence. But when you get this card in the reverse position, redirect the querent to think about how they respond to the changes that are coming their way. So instead of reacting, that will cause difficulty in adapting to those changes, radical acceptance sometimes is a big thing that they could do to take the burden off themselves. It's the ending of one cycle of destiny and the opening of another. And whatever is happening is always for their highest good, and relief is on the way. You always want to reassure whoever it is that you are reading for. So the next card after this is the Hanged Man. So this is number 12, right? The Hanged Man is associated with Pisces energy. This is ruled by the planet Neptune. Neptune is illusions, fantasy, dreams, spirituality, imagination, creativity. But in the upright position, which because of his position, it looks upside down, it's basically bringing about a change in perspective. I need to drink something. Hold on, you guys. Sorry about that. My throat gets so dry doing these. So basically, the Hanged Man could also be looked at as a person gaining enlightenment with this halo over their head. Because why? They've had enough time to be in suspense, to really think about things and download information. This is basically, it's either an enforced delay by the higher powers or it's a chosen one. But it is a time for you to look at your situation in a different way. You might need to make some compromises. Maybe you need to make some sacrifices. But either way, it is a time for you to look at how you can move forwards, how you can find solutions to your problems, and understanding your newfound view on this, like really taking time to appreciate your downloads and learning how to use them to create the best life moving forward, right? It's basically a time of introspection, a time for spiritual development, guidance, meditation. Now, this could also be a person who feels very stuck in their head. See how they're kind of like tied to this tree here. Now, one leg and both arms are actually, it looks like they're just putting it behind their back, but of course we can't see behind their back to see if it's actually tight or not. But in the reverse position especially, this could just be somebody who is either wasting time or making bad decisions, like jumping from the frying pan straight into the fire. It could be them turning a blind eye to something that they need to decide on and act on. It could be, like a victim mindset that this person has. So basically, the guidance here is for this person to create an openness to look at alternatives that will liberate them from this state, because this card in the reverse position is really not where they want to get stuck. This can also be like a very reckless energy. So it depends on the surrounding cards, but if you get this in the reverse position, definitely ask your clients to kind of take off the rose-colored glasses, you know, or give them some suggestions that will help them do that. Point out things that they might not be seeing with your own intuition and kind of help them get out of this stuck energy here. Now the next is the Death card, and that is number 13, which in most cultures, or not most, I should say, in some cultures it's considered a very unlucky number, and in some cultures it's actually considered lucky. But the imagery is also not really promising here, right? But in readings, this typically means endings of cycles. Like, this is the Scorpio card. This is ruled by Scorpio. Scorpio is linked with sex, with death, with the ultimate beginnings and endings. It's basically like symbolizing the dual message of this Death card, right? So in the upright position, it talks about endings and a new cycle beginning. I also like to call this my rebirth card, because sometimes that's what it indicates, is a rebirth for the querent, a rebirth for a connection if you're doing a love reading, just depending on what you're reading for and surrounding cards. But endings is definitely what this card indicates. It's moving away from something that was old, something that may have been familiar, a pattern that you were engrossed in, and it's taking advantage of new opportunities. This could, because it is a major arcana card, symbolize major life changes, like you could be moving to a new house or job. It's the final end of a relationship. And sometimes it's leaving yourself behind. Sometimes it's leaving your old beliefs, values, and perspectives behind and welcoming in something new. So transitions in life that are necessary in order for you to move on. Now, in the reverse position, this could be unexpected change, something you didn't plan for, something that you probably need to let go of, that you have been holding on to past the expiration date. And this is not leading you to any kind of continuity in your life, to any kind of, well, desired continuity, I should say, or any type of fulfillment. Sometimes it's the inability to make the right decision. So if that's the case, this card in the reverse position often indicates that, well, change is going to be made for you if you're not going to do it yourself. So that's a good heads up, right, for your querent to know that that change just might be made for them if they're not going to do it themselves. So here is my Sagittarius card, Temperance. This is number 14. Whew. Sagittarius. It is, in astrological symbolism, if you guys are into that, it's the archer or the centaur. So basically, the upright meaning is beautiful. It's talking about emotional balance. It's talking about expression of emotion. It could be a card of reconciliation here. If somebody wants to reconcile with you, you know, in a love reading, you get the Temperance card. That's a pretty good indication that they want to reconcile with you. It's possible that you could have to be approaching a very challenging situation and you need a lot of precision to make sure things go right. You know, it's a card of basically signaling the need for concentration, commitment, and effort. Resolving financial issues, getting spiritual guidance, he's an angel here, all of those things. In the reverse position, it's imbalance, the opposite, right? Over here, he's balancing. Over here, not so balanced. It's basically, I'm hearing my guide say a tidal wave of trouble. So yeah, the Temperance card in the reverse position could be a tidal wave of trouble. You could feel very overwhelmed, maybe even threatened or intimidated by whatever is about to present itself. So if you get this card in the reverse position, be sure that the querent is being mindful of, you know, like their spending, their financial practices, management, if they are managing their resources well, how they are dealing with current relationships. Maybe it's too restricting, either for them or their partner. However, just draw the need to attention for detail when you get this card in the reverse position as guidance for them. Okay. And then the next card, we have the Devil. Everybody has a love-hate relationship with this card. It's not always a bad card. This is the Capricorn card. So Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet of karma, time, and restriction. And what an amazing way to symbolize that than two people being chained together as restriction, right? So in the upright position, this is a card of temptation. Do you see how this person here is like holding grapes? It's basically temptation and obligation. So if this card comes up, it could be talking about a person's shadow side. It could be painful lessons that are being revealed. Maybe there's addictions, maybe there's affairs, maybe there's moral debts that need to be paid. And sometimes it's actual like literal debts that need to be paid, like employment debts and stuff like that. But whatever it may be, it is a situation that the querent has often created. So when you get this card, guidance is to make sure that you make mature choices, that the querent makes mature choices that's going to bring long-term benefits versus short-term gratifications. Now, if it's in the reverse position, this is even worse. It's kind of like being enslaved to either a temptation or an addiction, or something that you desire is probably a little too pricey, right? Like I'm hearing selling your soul type of thing. So it doesn't have to be that extreme, but you get the idea, right? Something or maybe someone you desire, maybe the price is a little too high, and there's a temptation for you to give in, but it could be like a manipulative thing, like whatever that situation or person is, could be attempting to manipulate your better side, or you know, test your willpower to resist. So guidance for that is grounding, making sure they're in touch with their shadow and light selves, and you know, ask for help from the higher powers that be, because they would need it. And then after that, we have our next infamous card, which is the Tower, and this is ruled by Mars. Mars is a very fiery planet. It's often associated with wars. Mars as a planet itself typically expresses violent destruction, pretty much like a disastrous aftermath of things, right? So in the upright meaning, it means disaster. Basically, it's like a sudden collapse of your circumstances, sudden collapse of a relationship, a sudden outburst, a sudden fight or conflict. It could be pretty much like a thunderbolt out of the blue, just like the card itself depicts here. It could even talk about a destruction of what you yourself have constructed, whether it's a lifestyle, a venture, a relationship, a dream, whatever it is. The Tower does signify a fall of it, but it's kind of something that's unavoidable, right? Like the Tower in the upright position is usually a disaster that can't really be avoided. In the reverse position, it can be avoided. In the reverse position, it's kind of like maybe the instability that the querent is feeling in their life, they have created themselves. And as a result of that, what they feared the most is happening, but pretty much it's their own creation. So that experience is teaching them to take responsibility and make better choices. So put that in as nice words as possible and give that to them as guidance if it comes up. And then the next card, you guys, is the Star. I really, really love this card. Even in readings, it's rare that this comes out for people. It really doesn't come out for everybody. This is really a card of balance. It is ruled by Aquarius, the water bearer. So Aquarius is an air sign, but it is a water bearing symbol or astrological astrological symbol, for lack of a better word. So it's basically associated with inspiration, ideas, progress, healing. This is really a big card for healing and possibly a wish coming true. It's a card of harmony. Look at that. It's so beautiful, right? Like, she is pouring water onto dry land and water into water. She is not discriminating between who has too much and who doesn't have enough and just giving to one versus the other. She is balancing it, right? It's a card of inspiration, physical and spiritual harmony. And it's just, it's basically taking a thought or a dream and consciously expressing it. Sometimes this card comes out and it literally means that, you know, somebody is going to be a star. That is a very good possibility to get that message from this card coming out in a reading. It is really beautiful energy. Now, in the reverse position, it could be avoidance of healing. It could be experiencing a creative block. It could be a wish being delayed, not necessarily being denied, but just delayed. And, you know, that is also a relative term. Is it really delayed, or is it just not happening on the querent's desired timeline, right? So being sure to always draw their attention back to how they view situations and giving them peace in that is going to be a big part of any readings that you conduct. But I truly do love the Star card, and it does not come out for everybody in readings. So next we have the Moon, and the Moon, the real Moon and Cancer are associated, but in Tarot, the Moon and Pisces are associated. So this card, the Moon, is ruled by Pisces energy. Pisces, the fish, the double fish. I think you guys all know the Pisces symbol. Basically, it's the association of the soul and the element of water. So in the upright, this is, you know, either things being hidden or things being brought to light. You have the Moon here. The Moon is in front of the sun. This orb you see behind the Moon is the sun. So depending on the context and the surrounding cards, it could very well mean that, you know, there's a disillusionment happening on the surface, but whatever lies underneath that maybe is a lot of emotional turmoil. So for example, if somebody is having a hard time expressing their feelings to their divine counterpart, right? Since I do a lot of twin flame readings, usually the Moon card would come out to indicate that those feelings are there, they're just being hidden, and the other counterpart is just being disillusioned because of the emotional turmoil of the other person, that they're not able to reveal it. But in the reverse position, this is like flat out avoidance, right? It's just, it's basically talking about the danger of doing nothing. It's basically talking about being blocked off from your own intuition, from having the light in front of you but still seeing darkness, is basically how I kind of put this. It could be a card of like temptation to seek refuge in the past. So maybe like living in memories more than creating the future that you desire actively, you know, things like that. So also bringing those elements to the querent's attention and making sure that they, you know, are in the right mindset to see the progress that they desire in their life. That is going to be a really big thing. And after that, we have the Sun card. So I'm going to take a drink really quick. Oh my goodness, we're already an hour into this, not even through the major arcana. So I'm going to speed this up a little bit, you guys. The Sun is the ruler of Leo, and it's basically the sign concerned with confidence and the ego, but in reality, the Sun is ruled by the Sun. Nothing rules over the Sun rules over things. Okay, so in the upright meaning, it's joy, hopefulness, healing, success. It's always a welcome card in any reading, to be honest with you. It's basically like all of the happiness, the hope, the healing that you can hope for is either in your life right now or on its way to you, depending on what the surrounding cards indicate. Sometimes in spirit baby readings, getting the Sun card indicates there's a little boy around the querent as a spirit baby. And then in the reverse position, it is, of course, the opposite. It's feeling hopeless, not being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's delaying, you know, whatever the light and gifts that should have been coming your way. And they seem to be like just out of reach. But this is also a card that indicates worries, like, you know, the querent could have a lot of worries going on. And they could also feel like their hope and joy has been taken from them, depending on the context of the reading. So the next is the Judgment card, and I really, really, really like this card because this card is loaded with meanings. This is, I believe, Archangel Gabriel, who is depicted here. This is a card of fate. This is a card of fame, the card of destiny. This is ruled by the planet Pluto. And Pluto is actually believed to be like the ruler of the hellish planets. So that's an interesting card because you see all these people here like rising up out of their coffin and the angel blowing his trumpet here. So it's also a card of renewal. It's a time of beginnings and endings. It's a time where you can gain perspective, where fated events happen. Sometimes it's like literally where two people are bound together by the strings of fate, you know, that kind of meaning. And then in the reverse position, we have guilt. So this could be guilt around a lot of things, guilt around not doing what you had hoped to do, feeling like you're running out of time in life to do those things. It could be, you know, a card where you feel like things ended, but you never got the new beginning, or you didn't act to create the new beginning that you desired. Your chance to conclude a matter or situation was delayed because you did not take the proper action, because you didn't want to confront the fear of change. This could be when somebody does a lot of soul searching, honestly, and sees what is holding them back, and opportunities that you may have missed. So it's basically paying attention to all of those aspects of the querent's self and being sure that they're taking care of their mental, emotional, and physical health as well in the reverse position. Next, guys, we have the World card. This is the final card in the major arcana. This is major completion of cycles. The World card is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn, as we know, is the planet of duty, objectivity, karma, boundaries. Basically, you have completed a cycle when this card comes out in the upright position. So there's success, there's special rewards awaiting you in the future. A natural conclusion of a certain portion of your life is happening. Now, in the reverse position, it is dilution. It is about not growing and expanding within the proper time frames, not learning your lessons in order to reap the gifts that the future holds for you. It's about delaying cycle completion, holding on to things beyond the expiration date. It's like you're kind of moving in this hamster wheel of circles, except the circle is kind of getting smaller because it's going to phase out eventually, no matter how much you're trying to avoid it. So this card in the reverse position isn't great either, but of course, you know, drawing those things to the querent's attention and making sure that they are, you know, taking the actions that they need to take and are not being in an avoidant mindset. So now, you guys, we have the minor arcana. We have the cups, the Ace of Cups. This is new beginnings. All the aces are pretty much new beginnings, but in different aspects. The Ace of Cups is the element of water. It symbolizes the emotions. This could be a success card. If you're doing a pregnancy reading and you get the Ace of Cups, it's like, boom, you're probably gonna get pregnant, or maybe you are pregnant, you know, if it depends on what the querent is asking. This is an offer in a relationship coming your way. This is a time of emotional fulfillment. Maybe you're starting a new job and you just really feel like, wow, you know, this job is like my dream career. I'm so glad I got this job. Now, in the reverse position, it is exactly the opposite. It's dissatisfaction, lack of emotional fulfillment. It is a delay in your new beginning. It is kind of being deviated from the course of being able to complete an old cycle in order to start a new one. So basically like a delay in starting a new cycle. And it's kind of like an upheaval of emotions of sorts, right? Like you imagine that cup being upside down and everything just kind of gushing out of it. That's kind of the energy that it comes with. Here we have the Two of Cups. This is the Venus angel, by the way. And this is a card for platonic and romantic relationships. This is more like a soulmate type card. I don't associate this card with twin flames as much as I do the Lovers, but this is a card where there is a lot of attraction, there's a lot of fulfillment, it's an equal give and take type of relationship, especially if it is romantic. This is a really great card to have to show that a new partner may be entering your life, that there's going to be reciprocation in all of your connections, whether they are romantic or platonic. Like however much you give, those people are going to give back to you. And there's a lot of balance here, right? This person is coming with their cup full, you're coming with your cup full, you both have full cups to exchange, and it's a really beautiful exchange. Now, in the reverse position, it is the exact opposite of all of that. It could be, you know, like being closed off emotionally, not feeling like you are satisfied within yourself, that you have anything to offer to anybody else. Maybe somebody else perceives you in that way. And this is pretty much like an obstacle to creating a desirable connection with anybody, whether it's romantic or platonic. This could also be an ending of a connection if it comes out in the reverse position. So if there's an existing connection on any level, it could be indicating an end to that, depending on surrounding cards in the question. Three of Cups. Now, a lot of people associate this with karmic energy, like a third party, which yes, absolutely, it does mean that as well. But this is a card of celebration. It is a card of pregnancy announcements, engagement announcements, attending events with your friends and just having a good time. It's a time of reaping the rewards of everything that you have planted. In the reverse position, it is exactly the opposite. It is not having a good time, feeling disconnected from your community, not having the support that you need or desire, not feeling like you connect with people, and kind of feeling like you're either overly emotional or you're kind of closed off emotionally as well. So we have the Four of Cups next. This is, you know, a card of missed opportunities, only focusing on these three, not seeing what's coming your way here. This could also symbolize sudden offers coming your way, things that you didn't see coming. It could be, you know, a card of feeling apathy, like, oh, you know, I did all this, but it really means nothing. Could be depression. It could be how you feel in a given relationship because it's one-sided. You know, just this card, even in the upright position, really doesn't have very many positive meanings, although it does have a few. And in the reverse position, it's not that great as well. It's, you know, it's kind of just, it's along the same lines, or just a little bit more amplified of what it means in the upright position, for lack of a better way. Five of Cups is a card of remorse. It's a card of guilt. It's, you know, just wallowing in self-pity, kind of. My hands are freezing, you guys. How to say it? Just like, there's really nothing positive about the Five of Cups upright, except that it could show that if, you know, somebody has wronged you, then they could be facing, you know, or feeling guilt about that, that they could be really just kicking themselves for how they treated you, and, you know, just not being in a good state of mind, pretty much. Kind of being stuck in the past also. Yeah, I guess that would be it. But in the reverse meaning, this card has a, you know, some good energy that comes with it. It's pretty much like, when you have reached rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up, right? So you're coming out of all those energies that I just mentioned for the upright position. So you're coming into a more hopeful energy. You're coming into a more joyful energy. You're kind of releasing that regret, that guilt after having processed it, and you're moving forward into a new chapter. So now we have the Six of Cups. This is a cutie card. This is my soulmate card. This is also a spirit baby card, where there's kind of like these two children. They don't look like children, but they're intended to be children, who are giving them, you know, giving each other a gift, or one is giving the other a gift of a pot of flowers. And of course it is the Suit of Cups, so it has to do with the emotions. But notice that water also has to do with the emotions, and none of these cups really have water in them. They're just plants that will probably die because they cannot survive in a pot like that for very long. So sometimes it is, you know, about an exchange that isn't meant to have longevity, but is just there to bring you some temporary joy. It could be a card of childishness as well, or like a childlike energy, where, you know, there is a lot of emotion involved, but it isn't really long lasting. It isn't really something that has a lot of longevity to it. And then the Six of Cups in reverse is being stuck in the past, like too much nostalgia. It could be trying to move forward from a situation and not being able to. It could also mean like inner child wounds and things like that. That's how I also intuitively interpret. So of course it depends on surrounding cards as well. But here we have the Seven of Cups. Oh, this card is loaded with meaning. It's a card of manifestations. It is a card of daydreaming, of illusions, of fantasies, too many options, too much on your mind. You know, it could be literally a card of having dreams about something that kind of overtake your thoughts during the day. You know, all of those things. It's just, there's a lot on the mind with this card, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. In the reverse position, it is absolute restlessness, like not being able to focus, not being able to sleep well, not having emotional release that you need. you know, it's a card of not knowing how to manifest your desires and just kind of giving up on them, which is a very sad energy. And then we have the Eight of Cups, the card of emotional releasing, of walking away from something, possibly from your past, possibly that no longer serves you, or just walking away from something that has closed out its cycle, right? You have the moon up here as well as the sun. You can see both. The sun has a little face drawn on it and the moon is next to it. So it's about things coming to light that help you make the decision to walk away. But this is a very heavy, like emotional burden kind of energy where they really need to release these emotions in order to find healing and peace. And in the reverse position, it is the inability to walk away, the inability to release those emotions, and hence like increasing that burden. Here we have the Nine of Cups. This is a solo dolo energy. It is also a wish fulfillment card. It's also a card of manifestations. If you notice, all the cups up here are empty. So it is, you know, pretty much the universe telling you, hey, tell me what you want so I can fill those cups up for you. You know, tell me what you want and I will fulfill that wish. This is a card of wish fulfillment. In the reverse, it's selflessness. It is a card of possibly your wishes being delayed or possibly not granted, just depending on the context. Or it could even be the energy if you're not going to be single much longer, because like I said, it's solo dolo energy. And then in the reverse, it is the opposite. 10 of Cups is my happy family card, but it is more on the emotional level. So these people may experience some scarcity, but emotionally they're very connected and fulfilled. You know, this also has to do with their childhood home, how they were brought up, and you know, how their childhood has impacted their current life state, their relationships, etc. In the reverse position, it is the unhappy family, childhood wounds, abuse, lack of emotional fulfillment or connectedness. Could even be like infidelity, cheating, all of those things. So all of the negativity. Page of Cups in the upright is a very lucky card. This person has an offering. Pages are messengers. This is a card of communication because he's of the cup suit. It heavily indicates some romantic or emotionally loaded messages that he may carry. The page is a very immature energy. He's quite young, you know, so he's not like as mature as a knight or a king, but he is somebody who is very charming and romantic and Pisces energy. In the reverse position, news is delayed. Whatever communication you're expecting didn't come in the time frame or might not come in the time frame that you were expecting. And there might also be, you know, the delay factor in the offer. So, and then here we have the Knight of Cups, one of the most romantic knights in the tarot. A person who makes sweet gestures towards their beloved or their friends, you know, caring person, brings you flowers, takes you out to dinner, great conversationalist, emotional connectedness, wants to come towards you. Still not a king energy, but definitely more mature than the page. Over here, it's a person who is kind of self-absorbed, who you know, is more looking out for their best interest rather than yours or being mutual with you. And also a person who's holding back on their offer, who isn't fully coming forward. Maybe they are not as emotionally invested as they make themselves seem. Here we have the Queen of Cups, nurturing, wise, intuitive, possibly even a mother figure, somebody who's quite attractive and very in tune with her emotions. She could be very emotional if you look at the way she's hunched over, and she's got the most amazing cup in all of the tarot, you guys. Like nobody else of the cup suit, not even the King of Cups has a cup like hers. Like she is dang amazing. Her cup is really amazing. You know, it's also a card of a person who could be very intuitive, very spiritual, someone who engages in spiritual practices, a very emotionally connected female figure, possibly even a mother, or a significant other, a feminine energy. And then in the reverse, it's somebody who's very cold, distant, not intuitive, jumps to conclusions, just basically disconnected from their emotions and their intuition, and more in the ego mind. King of Cups. I love this, especially if you are about to get a divine counterpart and he comes up as the King of Cups. He's going to be very romantic, very emotionally mature, very nurturing, very caring. Somebody who's always going to look out for you and your best interest, who's just going to be there for you in any way that he can. Reverse of that is absolutely the opposite. Somebody who doesn't care, is not nurturing, it does not look out for you communication-wise, does not know how to hit your emotions at the core or create an emotional bond, and possibly could even inadvertently or maybe purposefully, depending on the situation, inflict emotional trauma or unmet needs or wounds through interactions. Next, we have the Ace of Wands. This is a very phallic suit. This indicates a lot of sexual energy. It is heavily sitting on the sacral chakra. This is fire energy. This is also creativity, sparks, new creative beginnings. If you are going on a new business venture, wanting to open your own business, getting a promotion, presenting ideas to your company, whatever it is, this is a wonderful card to get in that reading. You are full of inspiration, full of creative ideas, and it's going somewhere. Like, this is an ace. It's a card of new beginnings. Reverse is just the opposite. You know, you have a creative block. Maybe you have an intellectual block where you cannot create or get your thoughts together as well as you thought you could. You are not able to start your desired venture because you just can't seem to gather the creativity plus action to make it happen. Two of Wands in the upright position it has to do with making a choice. It has to do with travel. It has to do with taking the world in your hands and deciding what you want to create out of your life. It is making a choice of whether you're going to wait for your ships to come in or you're going to go out and get them. It is all of that. I mean, the wands are all fire energy. It has a lot to do with action, but any card that has to do with twos also has to do with making decisions. And in the reverse position, it's delayed travel. Sometimes it's coming, deciding not to travel, you know, when you had maybe decided earlier that you would. It is about not being able to make a decision, and just kind of feeling stuck and not seeing where your ships are, so you don't know how to go get them and you don't know whether you should wait. It's like a confused type energy as well. Three of Wands, your manifestations are on the horizon. They're still a little bit distant, but they're definitely coming in. Also a card of travel. This could also symbolize returning home from travel. This is basically a card of making things happen in the beginning stages. So you are one pillar short of having that solid foundation to lock in whatever it is that you're trying to create. And in the reverse position, I honestly am kind of like out of words to describe how I would describe it in the reverse position, but basically the opposite of everything that I just said. Like, you know, not being, if you're looking at it in terms of travel or returning home from travel, your return home is delayed or you're not able to come home for whatever reason. Whatever it was that you were manifesting, there's a lot of obstacles and you don't know how to overcome them. It's like so close yet so far type of energy. The Four of Wands is the 1111, the Union card, especially for twin flame readings. It's also an angel card because 1111 is an angel number, and it is a very auspicious, lucky card. It's a card of marriage, a card of celebrations, a card of creating a solid foundation. You have the 4 pillars here. It's funny because in Indian weddings, we also create a structure called a mandap that has 4 pillars, and that's what the bride and groom get married in. So it always reminds me of that in a way too. So this is a very happy card. It is the ultimate union card. And then in the reverse, it's instability, not having the foundation that you need. It could be the ending of a relationship. It could be a household falling apart, family members going separate ways, and lacking the celebration spirit, pretty much. 5 of Wands is a card of confusion, internal battles, conflict. You need to bring a change. You see all these people just fighting like crazy. There's all this fire energy flying around, and there is no water to balance this energy. So in the reverse position, it's very good. It's coming out of that hostile energy. It's bringing balance. It's putting that negative fire out and bringing harmony back into the situation. Confusion clearing up, being able to see things more clearly. This is one of my ultimate favorite cards, the 6 of Wands. It is the card of victory, fame, recognition, good fortune, overcoming obstacles. It's just pretty much everything you could possibly want to be the outcome of a certain situation. And then in the reverse, it's the opposite. It's infamy. It's being stuck, around obstacles, not getting the recognition that you deserve. Maybe somebody is usurping that from you underhandedly, depending on the surrounding cards. So if it's the 6 of Wands in reverse for a relationship, it's possibly a past partner trying to ruin your reputation. So it could have a lot of negative connotations as well in the reverse, but in the upright, so beautiful. 7 of Wands is a card of determination, but it's also a card of defensiveness. Like you can see this person, you can read this image both ways. He's either determined to fight off all these other 6 Wands and make his way towards something. He's determined, or he's in self-defense mode and he wants to lash out. So it has both meanings. And in the reverse, it's the opposite of both, either lacking determination, not knowing how to get what you want, or just exploding, not knowing how to defend yourself and feeling weak and vulnerable. 8 of Wands is a card of travel and communication. It is fast-moving energy. Whatever is happening at warp speed. Here, communication delayed in the reverse, things kind of being at a standstill, and the energy not moving as fast as you would like. The 9 of Wands is a card of distance. It's like kind of removing yourself from the situation, stepping back a little bit, and trying to release your burdens before it becomes the 10 of Wands. It's also a card where this person could be feeling a little defensive because they're so battle weary and exhausted. And in the reverse position, it's exactly the opposite. It's staying involved far too long, not taking a step back, and not gaining clarity. 10 of Wands, burdens. There's really no other way to put it. There's a burden on your heart, burden on your soul, burden on your mind, and you just need to put it down. But this cycle is almost over because 10s are all about completion. So whatever difficult cycle the querent is in is about to come to an end. And if it's in the reverse position, they have released those burdens. That cycle is complete. Page of Wands, my good news card. This is a very cute, young, flirty energy, fun communication, flirtatious encounters, good news, basically. And in the opposite, it's somebody who is kind of malicious, takes things the wrong way, just, you know, pretty much the opposite of all of those things. Knight of Wands, look at this horse, you guys. This horse is red hot. He is flying. He is not as fast as the Knight of Swords, but he's still pretty fast, and the fact that his horse is red hot tells me he's got some passionate, fiery energy. He is going to come in, be a charming person, sweep people off their feet, and leave as quickly as he came. This is not a permanent stay in most people's lives. He has not decided his own course of action yet. And this is also just going on an adventure, having fun, staying in the moment, and not expecting anything long term. And in the reverse, opposite of that, I think I'm going to start asking you guys, comment below, what do these cards mean in the reverse position? Starting from the Knight of Wands. I think that's a really good intuitive exercise. So comment below. I'm going to tell you the upright meanings from now on. And starting from the Knight of Wands, let me know in the comments what you think the reverse meaning of these cards are. Queen of Wands is somebody who is very sexy, magnetic. People are just magnetically attracted to her. She's confident. She's in her power. She knows what she wants and she knows how to get it. She's somebody who, you know, people want to take seriously and they want to watch her. Just there's something so enigmatic about her that people are just like, oh my gosh, that's somebody I want to be around. That's somebody I can learn from. That's somebody who I want to keep company with. I have to keep drinking water. So now you guys tell me, what is the reverse meaning of the Queen of Wands? King of Wands. He's somebody who's in a leadership role. He takes command of his life. He, just like the Queen of Wands, he's sexy, he's vibrant. He knows what he wants. He knows how to get it. But he could also be a very sexual, non-committal energy. So something to be wary of, especially if he comes up in a love reading. He's not the worst king to get in a love reading, but he's not the best either. So reverse meaning, you guys, what does that mean? Let me know in the comments. Next, we have Pentacles. Everybody loves this card, Ace of Pentacles. This shows long-term stability coming in your way after a cycle of difficulty, possibly even financial difficulty. You're getting a new beginning, starting a new job. This could even be for a relationship. It could indicate that this relationship is really going to last for the long haul. Like whoever it is that you are getting together with is going to be in your life for a very long time. They're going to be stable, committed, loyal, and pretty much everything you were looking for. Like this is your happily ever after, the new beginning to your happily ever after. Your turn, Ace of Pentacles reversed. What does it mean? Two of Pentacles. There is the Lamaniskit in this as well. It's a card of balance. It's a card of choices. It's a card of weighing options. It's a card of, I wonder how I can juggle all my responsibilities. It's definitely a juggling card as well, because this person doesn't necessarily have to choose one over the other. They could choose both, but they have to assign priority to each. So that is the challenge with this card. What does it mean in the reverse position, you guys? Three of Pentacles, another karmic card. Third party situation with this, absolutely. But it's also a card of teamwork, of being proud of what you do, of doing what you do for the joy of doing it. Notice that these pentacles are not as yellow as they are in the other pentacle suits. This is doing your hobby job, your passion, just for the sake of the fulfillment that it brings you, the joy that it brings to others, possibly even for charity purposes, whatever it is. You're not in it for the money. Yes, you get compensated, but that's not your motivation. Reverse meaning, you guys, what does that mean? Four of Pentacles. This is about greed. It's about holding on to things in a greedy way. Everything is all mine, have my arms wrapped around everything. It's about not being able to let go, but it's also about a card of stability, about making sure that you have the resources that you need and that they're going to last. All right, so it's not all negative. It could also be a card of stability. What does it mean in the reverse position? Your turn. 5 of Pentacles, ill health, financial difficulty, being left out in the cold. Like there's a building here, it looks like it could be a church, and there's these people out here that are not invited in, that are not welcome in that warm looking building, and so they're left out in the cold. You know, it could be that sense of being an outcast, from being disconnected from your community, your loved ones, somebody that you desire. You know, ill health, ill financial health, all of those things. What do you think it means in the reverse position? 6 of Pentacles, we see the scales here again, a card of balance, equal give and take, a card of generosity, a card of abundance, having enough to give to those in need and still having plenty left over for yourself, of, you know, balancing out the scales and connections, of, you know, making sure that partners have an equal give and take, and not, you know, one is not only taking from the other in a relationship. Balance of all kinds here. What do you think it means in the reverse position? Intuition check. 7 of Pentacles, a card of patience. Every time I see this card, it's like in my third eye, I see the word patience. It is also a card of delays, but delays that will pay off, because you see all these pentacles, they're just getting ready to harvest. And if you harvest them at the right time, they will be ripe and good pentacles, rather than prematurely harvesting them like premature fruit that are not ripe yet, right? So yes, it's a card that requires patience. It could be slow growth, but the wait will pay off. Patience is a virtue. What do you think it means in the reverse? 8 of Pentacles is working hard, you know, just kind of having your nose in work all the time. Hard work also paying off. You see all these beautiful pentacles he's created and has lined up. So, you know, it could be a card of working on yourself, because pentacles are of the earth element. So they could be working on your physical appearance. They could be working on your physical health. You know, just working on yourself in terms of body in a lot of different ways. But this could also be a card of just going through the motions, day-to-day routine, not really being enthused about what you do, but just doing it because you have to do it type of energy. What do you think it means in the reverse? 9 of Pentacles, my abundance card. She is also my pregnant lady card sometimes. The 9 of Pentacles is being so completely satisfied within yourself, having everything that you need within yourself, and not worrying about finding a partner who can provide for you, because you can probably provide for that partner too, and you don't need them for that purpose. It is complete self-satisfaction. What do you think it means in the reverse position? Comment down below. Next, we have the 10 of Pentacles. This is the ultimate card of stability. This is having the house, the pets, the kids, the spouse, the yard, the garden, you name it, having that dream income where you never have to worry about it. It's like the 10 of Cups with a cherry on top, like I like to call it. This is a card of stability in a lot of areas, and it's not just about those things. It's about, you know, having ultimate stability in your finances, whether you are with somebody or not. It's about being you know, stable in your career, being your business being stable. If you are an entrepreneur, it's about, you know, your family of origin, bringing in that stability for your family of origin, whatever that case may be. This is the ultimate card of stability. It's the very good omen as a predictive card for readings that you do. What do you think it means in reverse? Let me know in the comments. Page of Pentacles. This is an adorable little boy card. This is also my little boy card. This is a card of loyalty, of curiosity, of venturing out into the world for the first time, into the adult world, and trying to figure things out for yourself. But it's, you know, a card of focus and willingness to learn, and just being loyal to whoever is around you, whoever is helping you. And there's just so much positive energy with this card. And it's also really about just, you know, really being focused on whatever task it is at hand. You see how he is really focused on this pentacle, like he's holding it up and looking at it probably from all angles, like he's so proud of whatever it is that he's putting his effort into. But if this comes out in a relationship reading, it could mean there's great loyalty, there's great dedication, but the spark may have gone out a little bit. So spice things up a little again. You know, that would be guidance associated with this reading. What do you think it means in the reverse position? Let me know. Next, we have the Knight of Pentacles, the knight who moves so slow it can be painful, but he brings stability. He brings something that is long-lasting, that is tangible, that you can actually hold on to when he actually makes it to you. It may be a while before he's able to make it to his destination, but slow and steady wins the race, right? You got to look at the positive. The movement on this horse is like he's hesitating to cross over, and he looks like he's at a standstill, but stability is what this knight will bring into your life. So he's not a bad card. You just have to have patience. What do you think it means in the reverse position? Let me know in the comments. Queen of Pentacles, a nurturing mother figure. This tends to be also my karmic feminine card sometimes, similar to the woman holding a coin in the Energy Oracle cards deck. If you've been following me for a while, then you know when I talk about that. This is, but also, you know, like a nurturing mother figure. She could also be a mother figure. She could be, you know, the wife of a masculine. She could be the career-oriented divine feminine who is not worried about outer union with a masculine, but who is focused on her pentacles and focused on her own ascension and inner stability. And she knows, you know, that her masculine, her King of Pentacles, is on the way to her. What do you think this card means in the reverse position? King of Pentacles, father figure, so a protector, a provider, very similar to the Emperor energy, but without the control factor. This is somebody who brings financial stability to the family as well, is very career-oriented along with being family-oriented. This is like your typical, before you get married, the state that, you know, a masculine would be in prior to marriage, prior to a committed relationship, just establishing his financial identity, his financial situation prior to creating a family and getting ready for his family. What do you think it means in the reverse position? Interesting. Ace of Swords. This is a loaded card. This is a card that gives you clarity on situations. It's a card of breakthroughs. It's new beginnings in communication. If you have been out of communication with someone for a while, or communication just hasn't been great, this is a good card to indicate that it's on the improve trajectory. This is a card, when it comes out for somebody, they admire that person's intellect. They want to connect intellectually with this person that represents the Eight of Swords, or the Ace of Swords for them. You see the crown on top of the sword. This is like admiration. This is, you know, I don't know why I just heard my guide say King of the Aces. I don't think that's actually a thing in tarot, but I will take it. I'll roll with that. But yeah, this card is, you know, so important in readings where clarity is needed. Depending on where it comes out in the spread, it could indicate that clarity has finally been gained. You are about to make a breakthrough if you haven't already made one. It's just such positive energy with this ace. What do you think it means in reverse? Intuition test. Two of Swords, defensiveness, confusion. I don't know which path to take, right? I don't know what to do. I don't know why I'm sitting here, why I'm here, why am I blindfolded? I'm holding these two swords as my only defense. I don't even know who's around me. That type of energy. Which way do I go? Do I even have options? I don't know. I can't see them, right? She's blindfolded. She only sees darkness. What do you think it means in the reverse position? Three of Swords. Very heavy energy with this card. Heartbreak. And it's not always romantic, of course, right? Heartbreak can happen in so many ways. It can happen when a pet dies. It can happen when you lose a loved one, when a friendship breaks up. But of course, it can happen romantically as well. This, you know, with the three swords going through the heart can also indicate third-party situations. But this could also indicate heart healing, right? Going on a heart healing journey, healing your heart from previous traumas and wounds and unmet needs. So it can have a very positive connotation as well, depending on the context and surrounding cards and your intuitive guidance. What do you think it means in reverse? Four of Swords, rest, peace, something that is so important, something that we tend to overlook for its value, overlook the value of in modern day life. You can have everything in the world, but if you don't have peace and rest, it really just means nothing, right? So this is such an important card to come up in a reading. This could also be a guidance card, letting the querent know that they need to engage in rest, that they need to withdraw their energy, and, you know, go within. Oh, what do you think it means in the reverse? Don't forget to let me know in the comments. I am so interested. I know some of you are real tarot aficionados on my channel. Some of you are aspiring readers, so I would love to hear your intuitive insights. And remember, guys, there's no right or wrong with this, because a lot of it has to do with your own intuitive interpretations as well. Five of Swords. Look at these jagged clouds. Look at this man who still has his sword up, even though these two are retreating and walking away. It's a card of, like, you can't calm that anger down. You can't stop the fight even when it's over. It's literally a card of conflict. And it's also because, remember, swords are of the air element. It could also represent a lot of mental conflict as well. And it could have to do with people around you or just internally, depending on the situation. What do you think it means in reverse? Six of Swords. These people are moving on into calmer waters, but they still have this baggage. Look at how they look hunched over in the boat. They're just not in a happy state, right? But it is a card of movement. And there is hope in front of them. There is this calmer water here, right? compared to where they're going. But the thing is, they're still carrying this baggage, so they're going to have to figure out how to release this baggage once they reach the shore. But the thing is, they're finally moving forward. There's some movement here, and that's a very good sign. What do you think it means in reverse? I hate this card, seriously. Anytime it comes out in a reading, it's deceit, it's lies, it's cheating, it's thieving. See how this guy is trying to sneak away with 5 swords, and there's still 2 left over there, and he's looking over his shoulder to see if he got caught. It's a card of avoiding what you need to address, but just the general energy of this card is really awful. In love readings, it's infidelity, it's lies, it's manipulation, everything that you don't want. So tell me what you think it means in reverse. Let's see if this card can find any redemption, or maybe not at all. This is a card of feeling trapped in your own mind. This is a card of feeling restriction, of not being able to see clearly, being in a mental fog, having so many thoughts around you, not being able to calm your mind, not really being able to realize how to set yourself free. Mental confinement, if that makes any sense. It's like this poor spirit soul is trapped in this body that is just in a mental prison. It's awful, right? What do you think it means in reverse? Anything good? Let me know. 9 of Swords. The anxiety, the restlessness, the sleepless nights, the darkness, the heaviness. Notice how this person has all of the zodiac signs on his blanket. Now, what an amazing depiction this artist had, right? Because how can you sleep with the weight of the skies, of the universe on your lap? That is like impossible. Of course, that's why this poor person is up and restless. It's like, gosh, you have the weight of the world on you, don't you? And it's all dark everywhere. You don't even see any light. This is a very anxious energy that comes out with this card. It's like, even though it's night, you can't sleep just because there's so much weight on you. What do you think it means in reverse? 10 of Swords, finally, completion. But it also means hitting rock bottom. It's the end of a very difficult, painful, anxiety-giving cycle. It is the end of mental baggage, trauma, stress. So it's good that it's an ending, but this is like the rock bottom before that ending cycles out. So, but of course, that depends also on the situation that you're reading for, right? What do you think it means in reverse? Here we have the Page of Swords. In a relationship reading, this could mean petty fights. This could mean stalking social media of your desired person or your person of interest. This is a very immature energy, very defensive, but doesn't really know how to defend himself. Very young, you know, he has a sword that he probably doesn't know how to use, doesn't know how to communicate well, may come across abrupt, sharp, not empathic, not empathetic, not considerate of other people's feelings, just because of immaturity, not because of maliciousness. Pages are also messengers, but this page isn't always a sign of incoming communication. It's a sign of watching someone from a distance before you decide whether or not you want to communicate with them. So it's a little bit of a more complex energy. Let me know reversed meaning. Knight of Swords, immaturity at its best again. This could be like ghosting somebody. This could be jumping to conclusions. This could be, you know, flying forward with a desire to communicate. And it may not be kind because of, look at how he's holding his sword. But it could also be urgency, you know, like I really need to talk to somebody. I really need to talk to my divine feminine. I really need to talk to so-and-so. I just have this urgency, this need to speak to them. But it is a rash energy, not well thought out, immaturity, recklessness, all of those things. And yes, these are all upright position definitions. Let me know what you think it means in the reverse. This will be interesting. Queen of Swords. We are getting near the end, guys. Most famous yet infamous queen. She has no rose-tinted glasses on. She cuts through the BS. She sees everything clearly for what it is. She speaks her truth. She lives in her truth. Sometimes she could even be ruthless. You know, she could be like that iron-fisted ruler. She could be somebody who's very logical, somebody who's very mature, who opts for logic over emotions, and may seem cold and emotionally cut off too at times because of that, but that doesn't always have to be the case. The Queen of Swords is not always a bad energy. In fact, she's very intellectual. She's probably the most masculine of all the queens in the tarot, though. She is a queen, but she has a strong masculine energy about her as well. She could also represent a toxic third party, a toxic karmic relationship, somebody who hurts people very deeply, somebody who is manipulative, cunning, like fox energy. And all of that can be in the upright position, just depending on who she's coming out as representing and where she is in the reading in relation to other cards. What do you think she means in the reverse position? Let me know. King of Swords, you guys, the last card. If you stuck with me through this entire two hour and some minute video, thank you so much, because this truly was a lot of work and my throat is very, very scratchy now. But this King of Swords is somebody who's very logical, somebody who wants to take charge of their life. Their heart chakra is still a little bit blocked off. They may have, you know, their defenses up, their guard up. This could also be somebody who's a bit narcissistic. Now, he is one of the worst kings to get in a love reading. But if you're just reading for an individual and they come out in this energy, it's not a bad energy. You know, he is in charge of his own life. He's looking at things logically to make his decisions. He is also seeing things clearly, more logical than emotional, very much mirroring the Queen of Swords energy, and just in more of a masculine way, if that makes sense. What do you think he means in the reverse position? Definitely let me know in the comments. And we got through all 78 cards in the tarot, you guys. Please let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. For the sake of my effort, for the sake of making a 2-hour-long YouTube video, let me know what you thought, what was helpful. If you have any other requests for clarifications or anything like that, definitely let me know your guys' interpretations of the reversed cards, starting from the Knight of Wands, remember? So you can either pick your card and give me one, or you can do all of them if you really want to test your intuition, you know, on how you perceive these cards. So tarot cards, you're always going to have 78, and you're always going to have, like, you know, court cards, major arcana, minor arcana. Like, those are the three segments that tarot is made up of. Oracle cards are very freelance, so you can have as little as 20 cards, and they could just all be pictures. They could just have words. They could be pictures with words on them, affirmations, you know, anything like that. So oracle cards is way free reign when you create. Tarot is always tarot. Doesn't matter whether it's Rider-Waite or anything else, but this is the structure of tarot divination cards. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this helps you guys, and I'm so excited for all of you who are embarking on this tarot reading journey, because it's truly a gift and a blessing, and it's probably one of the best things that happened to me in my professional life, in my spiritual journey. You know, I truly, I love my decks. I bond with them. I love the work that this allows me to do. I love the people that this allows me to help. And I hope that, you know, this journey can have the same impact for all of you. So again, thank you so much for spending so much time with me. Do check out my video description box below for my 2 other platforms where I post little short readings every single day, TikTok and Instagram. But be sure that they are exactly the ones that I have linked in the video description box, because I have scammers out there pretending to be me. And you know, they steal my content, they steal my pictures, even my pictures of myself, and pose as me. So be careful, and I hope to see you on my other platforms as well. Instagram is where you can purchase paid personal services and readings from me, and all the readings that I post on all my platforms are different. They are not duplicated. I used to duplicate Instagram and TikTok readings before, but I do not do that anymore. So you will get different content on all 3 platforms. I look forward to seeing you guys there, and I will talk to you again in the next video. Have a beautiful night, everyone.